Back on the squealing GE, I noticed that the dial alignment was way off. So I took the signal generator and I injected 100 megahertz, 10 megahertz, and 1 megahertz on the for the broadcast band, and this is 10 megahertz right now. So you can see I'm about that low, and it's on 100 megahertz it's down at about 98, and on 1 megahertz it's down about that low. So what I need to do is see if I can slide this rule up on the string about a centimeter, something like that, when I take it apart. This is just note to self, move the rule up, because you don't want to adjust all of the alignment to try and correct this when it's equally off like that. That would mean that the rule slipped on there. So yeah, the high-pitched squeal is back, and this beautiful sine wave, which is right at 14.5 kilohertz, is coming out of this amplifier, and the volume level does not matter. We can turn that down and it's still there. This scope is fairly unstable. Loud and clear, man. It's one honking signal. Horrible. No, not 14.5, 12.5. I think, I don't know, let me check. 12.4, and as it warms up, it drops. So and as you adjust the tone control, it goes away. So the tone control must be controlling the feedback somehow. This is a cool little miniature scope I picked up at the swap meet, some like 50s or 60s tube thing. And it continues to drop.
Because she's taught me to constantly think about what it is I'm giving and how much.
But you can see it in my eyes. Ready for our iHeartRadio 80s party. Live tonight from the Forum on Coast 103.5.
En qué es and at Galpin Ford, you choose from the largest inventory.
Tell you this, it's a sensitive radio. It's a hot radio. Boy, this is... Alright, the thing has been disassembled. And the first thing I want to do, as I talked about yesterday, is I want to slide this up on the... I want to take a Sharpie and mark the rope and then slide this up about 1 centimeter. And I noticed this was broken, and this is what I talk about GE with their failing plastic parts. I need to fix this right away because I could easily break this or the wire. So I think I'm just going to use some tie wraps, nylon ties, and I'll drill some holes in them and just get it mounted there. This right here is the circuit board we're going to remove, and what a pain in the ass. So these things break all the time, or the spring holds in. This plastic fails too. Real touchy, crappy plastic. This has been fixed. You can see how I did that with 2 tie wraps. Just melted a hole in them with the soldering iron. I noticed one light bulb is missing and the other one was broken. I don't know if the other radio has those in it. Then I slid this up about 1 centimeter on the thing there, and one of the wires was broken off here, so I had to do microsurgery there. So the next step is to take this board off, which, what a pain in the butt that is. Took about 45 minutes to do this, but you can see what I've done here. I removed the amp board and cut all these wires and just made a temporary harness so I can go ahead and test this thing. It only has 2 very small electrolytics on it. It's got a 3 right there and probably a 3 right there. You can go ahead and replace those, but the first thing I want to do is get it back set up in test mode and make sure that it's feeding back again. And then we can start working on it.
Battle with the Justice Department. Those stories and more coming up in the next 15 minutes. But first, traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 5s. This report sponsored by Pechanga Resort and Casino. Here is Mike Morris.
And it's on to the Corona get-in closure. It continues and will continue until tomorrow at 4 a.m. The 91.
Okay, this thing is squealing like crazy now, and something came back to me, which was the speaker is very critical in this because of the way it has feedback off the audio output back into the driver's stage. I don't know if you can hear this, but it's really cranking. So, yeah, I tried, I replaced the 2 filter capacitors here. They tested fine, no leakage. They were 500 microfarads. They were reading about 540 or so, but they were fine. I haven't done anything with this board yet, but I know changing that transistor is going to do it. I just know it. But for the enjoyment of everybody, I'm going to change these 2 electrolytics that are on here just for the education purpose of it. Might as well. It's not that big of a deal. There it is. Every single video we do rock with you. Right, let's take a look at the schematic. This is the driver transistor right here that I suspect. You can see it's coupled by a 3 microfarad, and then the front end is coupled by an 8 microfarad. That doesn't make much sense, but okay. So basically we have a a positive voltage on the emitter, and then the collector is driving, well, either through the earphones or into the driver transformer, and then from the driver transformer comes into the push-pull output and then into the audio output transformer to the speaker. It's got this feedback line here. You can see it. It comes here, it comes back here, and it's coupled to the tone control back to the base of the driver. And that's why the speaker is semi-important, because that changes the feedback. So this transistor, this was it last time. The interesting thing is you do not need to rebias to change this to silicon, because it does not use a divider, voltage divider. It just uses a single 120K to bias it. So you could probably drop it to 100K, but you can just drop silicon right in here because it doesn't use a voltage divider. Neither does this one. These, however, do use a voltage divider network, which is right here. So we can go ahead and play with this guy right here. I put an MP24 in there, or an MP20 Russian transistor. But first we'll change this capacitor just to humor the cap lovers. I took the coupling cap out and tested it, and it checks fine. And with the coupling cap out, it's feeding back like crazy. Can turn the volume up. So I'm going to try and change that transistor. Alright, here's an MP40. This is the pin out, which is kind of interesting. The can is base. And let's see. Um, 20 milliamps. This is more than good enough. Usually the current there is only a milliamp or two. 1 megahertz, 150 milliwatts. Should be good. Absolutely quiet. Absolutely no squealing. Totally quiet with that driver transistor replaced. That's the original capacitor. Sounds good. Get off of this copyright crap.
Offer expires 2/29/16. After 7 seasons, The Good Wife is coming to an end. Don't miss a minute of the final.
Clipping really hard there. I really need the right speaker. The speaker in this thing makes all the difference. But that's it. That transistor right there is causing all that noise. Somebody had mentioned, I think it was in Radio TV Phono Nuts video, that this might be a Japanese, this subboard might be Japanese made, and these might be Japanese transistors. That is a really weird package style. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there as far as the quality goes. Now the thing I guess I need to find out from the owners if they want to change the outputs. I really don't want to change the outputs, but we kind of know these are problematic. I mean, do I just run it for a whole bunch of hours and see if the outputs start to act up and then go from there, or do I just change the outputs as a form of preventative maintenance? I don't know. It's tough. I got to think about this. Talk to the owner of this thing. I know he was trying to keep the expense as low as possible. The problem with changing the outputs is those heat sinks that are on there in the package style. It's not like you can just slap a couple of those in there and have it work, because it won't be, the heat sinking won't be done right. And these things are very, very critical that you keep them cool. Well, I'm on long wave, and we got a beacon coming in, a airline marker beacon. Now, as these things fail, the airports are not repairing them, so this is pretty interesting. And this is an error. This is a tracking. I don't remember exactly how it works, but this is a tracking long wave beacon. Here's another one. This thing has got this is one of the hottest receivers I've ever seen. This thing is smoking hot. The sensitivity of this thing is crunk. I've been doing some testing here with some different transistors, and these are these might be Japanese made. I read somewhere that this board might be Japanese or something. These might be Japanese transistors. But on the previous video on one of these world monitors, my friends, I converted it to silicon. And a thought I had was that silicon might not drive as much power by nature because they're a 1/2 volt drop versus about 100 millivolts, which the germaniums are. So I did some testing, and the germaniums definitely have more power and more gain, without a doubt. I believe it's because they have a lower on resistance, maybe. That's not really the term for it, because that would be a FET, but these, what I went with is I went with two M40s, or P40s. And I'm still doing some experimenting with the driver, and it actually sounds and works really good with these. Now, you don't need a heat sink with these. They're a much heavier duty transistor than those. They don't even get warm. I just connected it and turned the volume all the way up for about 10 minutes, and they didn't even get warm. So we don't need to heat sink these. These are good. This is good stuff. Okay, this is working really good. And what I've gone with here are 3 Russian germaniums and tantalum capacitors. And what I did was I cranked this thing wide open, way into clipping, and walked away for a good 45 minutes and came back, and these things were just, the outputs were just barely warm. And not even warm to the touch. They were warm when I touched them on my lip. So barely noticeably warm. So I think this is going to work. Sounds really good. Mystery ride. I tell you, I was using this speaker with it. This speaker has a lot crisper highs than the speaker inside there. In fact, I could try and demonstrate that. Let's see.
Us anytime at 36957. 36957.
You notice how you can hear the high end much better than with this speaker in here, but this one at the same time is not nearly as loud, so the all-around best speaker for voice is what's in there. This is the bad chassis, the chassis that's quiet, and you can see here's the thing there that the pointer, the indicator for the bands, and the string is broken. Probably this. I wanted to take a minute to. You can see on this one they went to a metal thingy here. So I wanted to take a minute to just kind of document this the string setup. And then this one comes across the top to there, and then back to here. Now, would you look at that, the tuning string and the indicator string use the same pulley. Now, what kind of stupid design is that? And then this rides in that pulley too. Sorry, I know this is boring, but to somebody who is trying to fix this, it would be extremely helpful. So it comes around to here. Anyway, this thing is in pretty bad shape, so let's put this in the good cabinet. Here it is all back together. I'll let the owner go through if he wants to clean all of this stuff up. That's a little bit more passion than I have. Don't use this handle. Okay, just don't use the handle. These handles, if I was to pick this up, I'd probably break the handle. Just stay away from this leather case, all right? It's not for handling, it's a showpiece. Let's go over this a little bit. All right. So there's 5 screws that go in the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were not there when I started. I'm not going to screw with that. Most people, I believe, leave them out because it's practically impossible to change the batteries with those screws in there. Alright, the FM antenna's hooked up, speakers hooked up, shortwave antenna's hooked up. Everything is put back together. Like I say, the only thing is these 5 screws, but I'm not gonna reinvent the wheel on that. I'm just gonna leave it. So let's give it 9 volts and see what it does.
The Monopoly Collect to Win game is now at Bonds and Pavilion. Delicious. And now you can get super fresh shrimp ceviche at La Cocina Northgate for only $6.99.
A fully active all-wheel. Safety pick. Or the Kia Forte, a stylish compact sedan that earned a NHTSA overall 5-star crash safety rating. And with Kia's industry...
brain.
Take it down to 3. That's about your time. RV Roadshow trailer.
Opportunity to shop our massive inventory and drive home the Toyota you want at the best possible price. Remember...
Network, partner of LMU Athletics.
Welcome back, everybody. Jesse Katz here with you courtside at Gerson Pavilion. 3:24 to go in the second half.
Immediately sees what they're doing in horror. The Suns...
No vibrational coach helping you in for every $50 spent.
When I'm older.
Time to spend with family. Time to try new things.
Yeah, that is dead on. So we'll go to 15.
At the tone, 22 hours, 48 minutes, coordinated universal time.
Con AutoZone y ahorren aceites ya.
Southland weather, partly cloudy tonight. Morning clouds, afternoon sun tomorrow with highs around 70 at the beaches, 70s to low 80s inland. It'll warm up about 5 degrees Monday. This report brought to you by Hustler Casino.
If anybody ever...
Para todo el mundo, para chavos.
But here's where...
Observed human behavior at home that can point to the next big trend. Branding expert Martin Lindstrom spent time in more than 2,000 homes in 77 countries to write his book, Small Data.
If you have very large paintings hang...
That's KNX 1070, and if that's 1100, that's real close.
Who is in control of the home?
He says that Walmart, for example, is using small data to understand consumer psychology.
Data today, there is no emotions in it. If Walmart needs to step up...
Competing in the
It's a beacon.
Medical.
La lógica.
Hey, the institution.
You don't have to stay married. No, people just the differential ballot.
$20 meters, around 14.3, 20 meters, CW. Somebody's a little bit ahead there. It should be dead on with the phone. The phone should be dead on with it. Because the phone is getting it from the cell tower, which gets it from the GPS satellites.
On my knees. What a lyric. And I gotta say this about you.
So all this past week, we've been giving away chances to win a trip to Live in the Vineyard in Napa Valley.
So if that's 104.3, that's off. And the FM band is not off down here, but it's off at the top. And I'm not going to screw with it. It's working so well that if I start to screw with the alignment, it could very well screw it up, because I think it's...
We're fans and...
Birds sing harmony. Every drop of rain is glad found her. Heaven must have made her just when she smiles so warm.
Actually, that should be 94.7, so that is a little bit low. So if I don't know, I just don't know if I want to screw with it.
Inventory and drive home the Toyota you want at the best possible price. Remember,
I'm gonna go give me a pint. K45 on my side. Look at my you die. All of my say blood. Yeah. All of my say cuz. Yeah. OZ, I found me a plug. Yeah. I got a...
Beautiful place.
The nose of the U.S. military and the U.S. government without any detection whatsoever.
I mean, if it's going to be harder for governments to keep secrets simply because of the way data is stored.
Like, to a degree, you know.
Alright, I went and pulled up the SAMs on this, and if you can believe this, the way they want you to adjust this thing is to bend the plates on the tuning capacitor. And I just don't know about that. I really just don't know about that. So what would you spread it out to speed it up? You'd lower the capacitance.
Another thing is something that I had a knack for. What was it like for 1948?
As a whole human being with the public narrative of your life, because you spent 5 years as like a front tabloid. To live both as like an actual human being in real life and as a story that people just have heard. You know what I mean?
I absolutely know what you mean. It's not great. It's not great, and it is about
But that doesn't...
You know what? The FM is just going to be off. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go and start bending and tweaking on that thing. I don't want to screw it up. Yeah, you're just gonna have to get used to the whole thing being shifted down a little bit. It could very well be that the oscillator transistor, some components drifted a little bit, or just was never that close in the beginning. But the other four bands are dead on, so a little compromise with this old stuff is, and especially for the sensitivity,
inspired by an old Cambodian.
Don't talk to me like that.
And the antenna is down right now, so for the sensitivity and performance of this thing, I say we ship it back and you enjoy it.